Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and you are watching a Etsy shop audit.
So 10 years, people would look at that and go, that's a long time, but you've really just been kind of like dabbling, right? Like you probably have some seasons that you do well, and then you're just like, okay, and then you might spend a little bit more time on it. It's been a side hustle for the most part.
It's never been real profitable. I will say that.
Okay. And why do you think that's the case?
Um,
All right. Sue, welcome to the Etsy Shop Audit Show. And first I'm going to run through everything. I'm going to run everything that you came through with on your intake form, and you gave us all this information. So I just want to make sure that we got everything right. So we kind of set the stage, and then from there, we're going to dive in. So shop name is Sue's Stitches. Then it is, shop age is 10 years old. The niche is children's clothes, and I put newborn to 6-year-old because that's what you said in the intake around that age. Sticking point. Not sure where to improve. That's kind of why you wanted to be here today. Like, what can I do to grow this? Total revenue to date, $5,688.40. This year was $528.50 with a frown face. We want to fix that frown. We want to take that frown and flip it upside down. Isn't that what the kids say? So we're gonna do that. And then the income goal is $21,000 for the year, supplement the Social Security. Is that all accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome. So let's elaborate a little bit here. 10 years. How active have you been for 10 years building this shop?
Up until the last probably 18 months, I worked full time and retired because I needed to be here at home for my mom and a friend because they needed more help. So I retired, and now I've been trying to really get it up and running. It was kind of just a side, just a side thing, because I am an avid knitter, crocheter, quilter, machine embroiderer, and I needed a place to sell the things I was making, and it's very time consuming. And I have recently, since about 10 days ago, decided that maybe I should go more on the pod way, because this is very seasonal. I mean, you don't sell sweaters. Excuse me, I have a frog. You don't sell sweaters in July.
True. So let me ask you this. Okay, so 10 years, people would look at that and go, that's a long time, but you've really just been kind of like dabbling, right? Like you probably have some seasons that you do well, and then you're just like, okay, and then you might spend a little bit more time on it this season than that season, or if you're busy, like whatever. It's been a side hustle for the most part. Is that accurate?
It's never been real profitable. I will say that.
Okay.
But
okay. And why do you think that's the case?
I probably didn't put enough time into it. I've redone my pictures. It might be my descriptions. But when I was working full time, if I sold something here and a little something there, I was happy. But my inventory is getting larger. And I am totally upside down. The IRS is going to be after me pretty soon.
All right. Well, we don't want that to happen, but
no, I don't.
Let's unpack this. Yeah, let's kind of unpack this a little bit. Chris, and I know you probably got some questions as well, but let's kind of go with, okay, why aren't we profitable? To me, the very first thing I'm thinking is like, okay, we're not charging enough for what you're selling. Like that would be, we can blame it on fees. We can do all of that stuff too, but the fees are the fees, right? So are the people willing to pay for what you have? And if it's not profitable, why are we even doing it, right? And I think that's where it would come down to. Then you either have to pivot out of what you're doing or add more products that are profitable, going after the people that you're going after. Who would you say is your target market that you are selling to?
I am selling to mothers, aunts, grandparents, I had a woman who bought a sweater because she didn't have time. She is a knitter. She didn't have time to make both an Afghan and a sweater, so she bought a sweater for me. Um, the reason that it is newborn to 6 was when I was knitting. That's the largest, size 6 was the largest thing I wanted to do. I like doing the smaller items best.
Sure.
And I use a lot of vintage patterns. Now, maybe that's the problem. I'm here to find out what is my problem.
Okay, good. You're in the right place. We're going to dig in. Chris, why don't we pull up the shop? Let's kind of start looking at it. Let's start kind of looking and seeing what we got here. And let me just ask you this, Sue. So everything that you're selling, you're knitting yourself?
Knitting or crocheting, yes, except for the stuff there that I just listed.
Okay.
Like 5 minutes ago.
So would it be safe to say that it's going to be hard for you to sell a lot of volume?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why I was thinking about adding things that are easier and could sell more and quicker.
Yes. Okay. And that is like, to me, like, right. I mean, we could tell you that like right now, like out of the gate, like we're going to dig in, but part of the problem is, number one, you can't sell volume. Okay. Because now I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is you're probably going to charge a premium for that because you're literally knitting or crocheting these things. Like people are going to have to pay more for that. And they're willing to pay more for that if you're targeting the right market, the right niche, and the right type of person. But on the side note, then we have to start finding products that you don't have to knit or crochet that's being served to the same market, or finding products that are going to bring in the right people that are like, oh, this is a beautiful, knitted hat or, whatever, onesie or whatever, blanket. And then they're brought in because you have all these other products.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now let's get back to the audit.
So it's a way for you to scale. And I use that word, but it's not really like scaling, like you have to be this massive company. It's more of like where you can actually sell 10 or 15 items a day and not be like, oh my gosh, I have to knit 10 or 15 of these things. I got to shut my store down or pause my store because I can't handle it. So we need a little bit more.
What you're really talking about there, Scott, is arbitrage, right? We're creating that opportunity to not have to scale in terms of like employees, but we're scaling in terms of return on our time. Yeah. And I think it's good to hear, even before we dive into this, that so you are open to adding in other things. And I think a lot of Etsy sellers get stuck in the rut of, I am a digital product shop. I am a print-on-demand shop. I am a handmade shop. And the real answer to a lot of this is, well, is there an opportunity in my niche to add in a digital product or add in a print-on-demand product? Or if you're in one of those, add in a handmade product that I can sell at a higher profit, even if it takes a little bit more time. And so being able to approach this from a little bit more of a flexibility of how we're going to achieve this makes this a lot easier. And Scott, before we dive into what's selling in the shop, do you have any initial concerns about the naming and some of those kinds of things, like Sue's Stitches, right? If we're adding in print on demand or digital products, does that become a concern to you? Is that the first thing that you would want to address, or does it matter at this point?
Yeah, honestly, that doesn't bother me because stitches could be thread stitches. You know what I mean? Like it could be stitches that are from, a pillow that was manufactured that has stitches. You know what I mean? Like, so that doesn't bother me. using the first name sometimes bothers me, but in this case, I really don't think it does, because I think being handmade is something you are going to offer. But that's just because you're offering handmade doesn't mean that you can't offer other things that aren't handmade. They're still designed by you, but they're not hand, crocheted by you. Okay. Not everything. Some will. So no, Chris, I don't think the name is an issue at all. I think it's fine. And I think it represents that, things are done by hand, but not everything has to be done by hand. It's her stitches, So no, that doesn't bother me. Why does it bother you? I'm curious when you bring that up.
No,
Maybe.
It's just a lot of times, right? If we have a name that is that specific, it can become an issue. And I don't think, and again, it depends on where we go with this.
Yeah.
But I know that's going to be a concern that comes up in the comments. Is like, well, if she's not hand sewing everything or hand crocheting everything, doesn't that give the wrong vibe? Because you and I are all about creating and having people understand exactly what you're all about.
Yep.
And so I know that's going to come up, which is why I posed that as a question before we dive into exactly what's going on and where this is going to take us.
Yeah. And so just one question before we do dive in, and I promise we are going to dive in. Why haven't you done pod yet? Why haven't you done print on demand? What's held you back on that?
I didn't think of it till recently. I am an avid watcher of you guys.
Okay.
If I don't get to see you on live, I usually try and find a time where I can watch the recording.
Okay.
And that's just kind of from watching your edit, the audits on other shops, and I'm thinking, I wonder what else I could do. So it is
that's the beautiful thing. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing, because sometimes you're not thinking it because you're so into the handmade, right? Or you're into the stitches, but then you're like, wait a minute, that does kind of make sense. Like, we could bolt something on here and it still could be under my brand. Like, you're creating a brand, and it's a brand that it's for newborns to 6-year-olds, let's call it, right? But it's also, and I think we're going to see that as we dig in here, is like, who can we target that would want our products and also would pay more for those handmade ones? Because you still want to do the handmade stuff because it's a specialty, it's an art. It's like, it's a talent. Like, not everyone can do it. And people might not want something that is for, maybe it's a bridal or not a bridal, a baby shower, right? Maybe it's something like that. And they want something that was handmade. It was, the whole thing. But yet they're also going to want some of the other things that you offer that are things that they can add on that potentially were still created with that same customer in mind. So I like it that you weren't aware of it, but now you are. So let's explore it. I think that's the big thing. So Chris, let's pull up the shop. Let's start going through it here. I like it that you have a great announcement here. I mean, this is great. I'm just kind of skimming it really quickly.
Yeah, I just tweaked it a little bit that said made or designed by myself. Perfect. I forget exactly.
Yeah, great, awesome. Yeah, no, this is great. And I love that in the announcement, again, you're telling a little bit about what you do, right? Who it's for. And I think that's really, really good. So I like that. Okay, Chris, keep going here. All right. And what would you say is your best seller?
I really don't have one.
Okay.
I think the item I've sold the most of is a white 3-piece newborn, and I'm going to assume that quite often it's used as a christening or baptism outfit for a little girl. I've sold 4 of those.
Okay, Chris, go back real quick. Go back. I just want us to look at something here. Okay, stop right there where it says customize name knitted, right? That item right there. I'm calling that one out because of this. I think your images are okay. This one here stood out to me. I like this one better. The style looks better. It looks professional. Some of these I think could use some work. Now, again, I wouldn't go work them if we're not selling them, right? Or if they're not in demand. But I'm just, as he was scrolling, I'm like, oh, that one there looks good, right? Chris, scroll back up again.
Scott, is that a question of the lighting? and the way that this is constructed, right? So this one that we're looking at here is
Actually
very
is
well lit.
something that I imported into a backing. I didn't actually
Okay.
take a picture of that particular thing.
And that I think makes
that's
a
totally fine.
big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, because looking at this, right, we can kind of tell what color it is, but it could be white, it could be cream, it could be a variety of different colors. Because we all know if you've ever tried to go buy white paint, right, that's a whole day adventure because there's a million different kinds of white. So if I don't know kind of exactly what this color is behind it, then I don't necessarily know what color this is. And I see that kind of as we're going through this. So that's just the first thing, Scott, that stuck out to me.
Yeah, and I'm even like that when they're hand knitted toddler, where it's folded, it looks okay. It could look better. And I'm just, again, I'm looking at that. Like, so if you've sold any of these, I would be reaching out to that customer and saying, hey, I'll give you a 50% off coupon if you'll take some pictures of your baby or, whatever, the baby that you're giving it to or the child. And if you would take some pictures for me, I'll give you 50% off your next order, right? This way here, you're getting real shots of the item being used.
Now this here with the orange background, that is probably one of my number one sellers. I've sold 4 or 5 of those.
And I like that picture. You know why? Because it looks, okay, the underside of it is still got enough contrast, okay? But it also has good lighting. That's to me, that's better. Okay. That's definitely better because there's a contrast there between background and that. And it looks like, is it on like a quilt of some kind or?
It's on the back of a quilt. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So these are better because I can see it up close. The quality of it looks good. I'd be careful though not to crop off certain things. Like there's the booties. Okay, that's fine. And I know we're trying to get really close up on those. But yeah, I think those are definitely better. And again, you said this is one of your best sellers?
Yeah, I sold 4 in 10 years. That's not a lot.
No, but okay. But what would you say? I mean, when you're creating these, it almost seems like then it's just a one-off.
No, right now I have 2 of those. And I also thought about, there are some things in the shop that will not be replaced once hopefully they sell, so that I could focus on the items that I do sell more of. There is a Afghan in there also that I've sold it in a couple different color combinations, but that one right there that you're scrolling up there.
That one there?
This one?
Yeah, it's one of them.
Okay.
And that's in multiple colors, which brings me to a question about, should I list those separately?
As different colors?
Colors? Yeah.
In this case, I probably would.
Okay.
Because if not, someone could see this and not click in to see the others.
Yeah, and I think the difference with something like this, Sue, is this like pink and blue versus the white dominance, or this pink, blue, and green. It really is a different product.
It is.
Typically when we're talking about colors, what we're talking about is this shirt, right, with the little squirrel, wherever it is, the little squirrel, but it's blue instead of red or green instead of red, right? It's the same exact thing. In your case, because it is a visually distinct thing, and it really does look like a different product because of the color dominance of blue versus pink versus white versus green, I would probably put that as a separate listing, even though it costs us that extra 20-cent listing fee.
Yeah.
Because they'd have to come in and look at each variation, right? I'm not necessarily going to know by looking at this that you're pink, aqua, and white, right? I don't know that this is pink, aqua, and white unless I go in and look at the photos, and then I have to really understand what each of these, right? This is pink, aqua, and white, but this could also be pink, aqua, and white. I don't necessarily know. Versus red, blue, green, right? Like that's pretty self-explanatory. So I would probably split those out.
Yeah. And so my next question is this, like we can analyze like these, right? Like we can do everything that we're doing, which is great. But if we're optimizing for people seeing it, but are people searching for it? So that's where it comes down to, have we done any product research? And if so, what products are those? So have you done product research to say, okay, these Afghans are selling really well. Here's who's buying them. I'm going to create one similar, and I'm going to go ahead and go after that person because they're selling 300 a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have done that?
I have done that on some of the items, but a lot of these items I had made when I opened the shop.
Okay. So I guess that's the thing. So what I'm saying is like, okay, we've got all this stuff. Like as you were kind of going through it over the years, you're like, oh, I made one of those, I'm going to put it on. Oh, I made one of those, I'm going to put it on, right? Like that's been the approach from what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
What we need to do now is we need to be more strategic. And what I mean by that is now you're like, okay, what are you going after? You're going after newborn christening. You're going after baptism. You're going after, like bridal or I keep saying bridal, baby shower. Like these are like big terms that people are searching for. So that's where I would probably want you to spend time and then go, oh, I can create those similar style of those booties or the knit hat. Oh, those colors are trending. I could use those colors. I could do my own version. And now you're setting yourself up to have a greater chance of success because you've already validated it, right? Instead of it being like the other way where it's like, oh, I made one of these, I'm going to put it up because I think it's cute. Okay. Or I made one for a friend and now I'm going to just take a picture of it and I'm going to say, I'll make one for someone. I'll just put it up on my Etsy shop. So I think that right there is probably going to be some of your homework, is to do that.
Yeah, I have done more validation since watching you people, but you guys, I should say. But in the new stuff that I've made, now I have a bunch of things that have not been listed yet because before I list them, I wanted to know what is wrong with the stuff that's already published in the store.
I think with what we just kind of went through, without doing every single product to say, okay, where's the validation on these? But I think it comes down to, like I said, your homework is going to be like this right here. Like, Chris, let's do this real quick. We're going to do this live. Okay. White crochet baby 3-piece set. That's probably not a search term that people are searching for. Okay. So what I would want to do is go, okay, what baptism, christening outfit. Okay. That's probably where we're going to want to start our search. So Chris, why don't we do that? Why don't we go ahead and do a search for one of those? And then let's see. And maybe we'll even put in there, Chris, you can even put something in there. Well, let's start broad and then we'll kind of drill in a little bit. But if then what we want to do is say, it's got to be like crochet or knitted or something like that. So, yeah, let's just kind of play here. Okay. So, okay. So and then Chris, before we even kind of scroll through all this stuff, just run the numbers. Let's see what's selling. So sort it by monthly, Chris. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. So funny baptism onesie. Now that is not going to be a crocheted item, but could we sell one of these? Probably, right? So, I mean, that's $22. Let's see. It's sold 3,219 in just about 2 years. That's pretty good. 137 a month. Yeah. Okay. But I like that. So that's something we might be able to do. Now, go ahead, Chris.
So two things I wanted to point out here quick, Scott. First, this is probably not somebody who's a direct competitor. If we look at the store name, it says Mini LOL Store, right? So their niche, which I would argue probably isn't a niche, is humor, not necessarily baby stuff. But it doesn't mean that we can't use this for inspiration. The other thing, Scott, that I wanted to point out here is the conversion rate difference. So I think when we looked at that 3-piece onesie Sue in your store, it was like 0.78 versus 4.7 essentially, right? 4.68. So we do know by looking at this that when people find something in this market, they are willing to buy. This is on the high end of a good conversion rate on Etsy. So we know just by looking at this that one, there are some sales coming through in this space, right? At least 137 a month from somebody who's not really going to be a direct competitor to us. And that if we put the right product in front of the right customer in this space, that they are going to buy it from us. So both of those to me are really good signs based on what I'm seeing just from this first glance.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is exactly the process of what I would be doing, right? I'd be looking at, okay, this is your market. Now, this one here might not be like, okay, you're not going to sell maybe funny stuff. I would probably sprinkle that in there, like humor of some kind, because people always like to buy a gift with humor or something that makes someone laugh. But this is, again, just one search. Chris, let's now, instead of it being baptism outfit straight up like that, let's add in there either handmade or crochet. Probably
trying
handmade.
to test my spelling skills over here.
Yeah, let's do that on the fly.
I'm going to do handmade because I know I can spell that.
Yeah,
I was going to say handmade because I do both crochet and knitting.
Okay. Let's run the numbers here, Chris. And let's see what we get here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we got 80. That's an apron. Or no, it's not an apron. I thought it was. It's Aaron baptism white. I thought it said an apron. Aaron baptism white with blue trim outfit, baby boy christening outfit, dedication outfit, short baptism outfit, baptism baby blessing. Okay, so all of those, I'm going to pay attention to those because why? Well, they've had 6,847 sales and they're selling about 80 a month. So that's number one. Number two, let's go ahead and see if this is actually something that is, again, either crocheted or it says handmade, but it might just be like sewn.
Might be sewn, yeah. And I keep trying to get closer because this screen on this computer is very blurry.
Okay. Well, again, and this will get this recording. You'll be able to watch this back too. But basically here, Chris, go back up real quick. Look at that. In demand. 2 people bought this in the last 24 hours. It's another good sign. We're not even using like the tool or Everbee right now, right? We're just looking at that. And you're like, 2 people bought this in the last 24 hours, 48 plus. Chris, what's the options? What's going to bring that price up?
So it's the outfit, which is the cross only or the collar only. And then if they want to personalize a name on it. So basically, if you want just this cross right here, if you want just the collar, or if you want to put their name on it, that would go from 48 to then 58.
Okay.
Sorry, 56.
Okay.
And then there's also the sizing, and they do preemie through 2T in the sizing.
Yeah, they have all the personalization stuff there. They have date of the event, cross, font choice, thread color, full name. Okay, so what this is telling me is that, okay, this is something that's sewn, but you could definitely create one using crocheting, knitting, like whatever, right? Like you could create something like that if you wanted to, or you could find a way to find something that is already created, print on demand, and then you're going to add your stuff on it. Because we know that for this event, this is what people are buying. So you see, we're starting there versus starting with like, I have stuff up in the store, I want to make it sell. Right? It's kind of like we're just guessing at that point. We don't want to guess. Yeah, Chris, look at all of the keywords here that are in the tags.
So the reason I jumped into this, guys, and let me take a step back, is I was just looking at the item details, the product description, and it tells me nothing, right? And so this also is a sign, Sue, and everybody that's watching this, that there is a lot of potential here. If this product is selling without a good description, without a really optimized title. Yes, they managed to squeeze a lot of the keywords in there, but Scott, you may have seen my eyes roll into the back of my head, and then I regained consciousness as you were reading that title, right? Aaron baptism, white and blue trim outfit, baby boy blue christening outfit, dedication outfit short. That's not a human readable title, right? And so if it's an unoptimized listing, then I'm curious kind of what is driving this. And in their case, it looks like if these are coming from the organic side of the world, then it has to be just the title or the tags. So what are the tags that they are using? Scott, kids, probably too generic, right? Baby baptism gift.
Perfect.
Personalized baby gift, right? Newborn clothes, toddler clothes, baby boy clothes, christening outfit, baptism romper, right? These two are probably the most accurate so far. And we also see variations of those repeated in the title, right? Baptism pictures, probably not so much. Blessing outfit, right? So just by looking at this, we have christening, baptism, and blessing, which are three variations of essentially the same thing for most people. And so that would be something I would be looking at. I know we have some of those in the existing titles of your products. It's just a matter of reprioritizing that so that they come up closer to the beginning of that and making sure that we're including all of those things.
Yeah,
that
and
was stuck out to me just by looking at that.
And I think, Sue, also, like, to your original question was like, well, how do I know what I should focus on in my shop? I would be doing this against the products that you have, right? So if you have a knit hat for, a baby, a newborn, I would be like, okay, how are people selling this? And can I reverse engineer what they've done and apply it to a product that I already have that exists? Or you might have products that exist right now that just aren't going to get a lot of demand right now. But the cool thing is that stuff's in your shop. So if we find these other products that lead people into your shop, there's a greater chance that they're going to see them and then they might want to buy them. So because the products in your shop might not, like, maybe out of all your products, you might have 2 products that have good demand. Good. Focus on those products as far as optimizing them, but then start doing this approach to where you're now taking products that are already selling, and then you're seeing if you can create a product that could match that search, right? And then that's going to bring in the visitors into your shop, right? That's the approach I would go. Chris, are you exactly doing what I wanted you to do? You're inside of this lady's shop, right?
Yeah, this is Ann Everett Ray.
Okay.
And Scott, the reason I chose to dive into this shop, for anybody who's curious about why I click on the things that I click on, one, my ADD brain, but two, we saw the top 2 people, right? The top 2 listings when we searched for, what was it? Handmade baptism outfit, or that's what it was. Handmade baptism outfit. Both came from this shop, which tells me they're doing at least something right. And if that first one sold 80, then what else do they have? And looking through this, and somebody can maybe correct me in the comments, I'm assuming these different baptism outfits are named based just on people from the Bible and not like a style that's listed somewhere in the Bible, right? But like Aaron baptism, Luke baptism, right? I don't know if those are just the names that she's using. If that is actually a style, somebody let me know in the comments, or Sue, if you know, let me know. But looking at this, right, there is a lot of opportunity here just from this one shop. And what we've seen so far is they are truly under optimized, right? They have a lower conversion rate than they probably should. And their listings are under optimized. They don't have good descriptions. Their pictures are good, but they're not amazing. And their titles are a little confusing, which is probably why that conversion rate is low. And if we can figure out what they're doing right, then we can figure out how to make this work for us.
Go into one of their listings again. And even just looking at these small thumbnails, like, look at the difference though. It's on a baby, right? I mean, it brings the item to life. It's like, that's what they're looking for. They see a smiling baby. Like, who doesn't like look at a cute baby smiling and go, oh, I want to look a little closer at that. It looks cute. So again,
how would you do that if you don't have a baby in the family or a friend?
I've got a couple of ideas. So number one,
great.
I would definitely reach out to a customer, okay, that has purchased one if they have. If they haven't yet, you haven't sold one yet, then what I would do is I would either, like you said, if you're on Facebook and you have any amount of friends, 10 friends, and you say, if anybody knows of anyone that has a newborn, I'm selling, these, and I need a model, and I would love to send you one for free so you can go ahead and take pictures with it. I would do that. Secondly, you can also go onto a site like Fiverr, and you can say that you're looking for a photographer to take pictures of a product that you have on a baby. And then you'll ship it to them, and then they would do it. They'd keep it, obviously, and then they would do it, and you would pay that photographer to do that. So that's an option. That's going to be a little bit more expensive than you kind of out there in your own friend network and saying like, hey, if anyone knows of anyone, it doesn't even have to be your friend. A friend could know a friend of a friend. And then that way there, and then all you're doing is just, you're creating the one item, giving it to them, and then that becomes your pictures, and they get the item for free. If you wanted to kick them, $20 or something to do it, then great. But a lot of times people will do it for free if you give it to them for free, right? So that's what I would do. But once you start getting customers, that's a great opportunity, because people want to show off, like, their newborn with the outfit or whatever, right? So that could be an opportunity.
So we can see, and I just pulled up Fiverr over here, but we can see anywhere from like $5 to $200, $300, right? Yep. What I would not do is ask someone to borrow a baby. That's probably not a good way of going about that. But no. if we go to our actual social network, right, the people that we know, family, friends, and then, Sue, do you have a community around you? Like, are you a member of a church that has kids in it? Or do you know someone who is, right? And so even if they don't have direct access, you're going to know someone who knows someone. And then it's just a matter of saying, hey, do you mind taking a couple pictures, or do you mind, bringing your baby over? Can we go have lunch or whatever and take a couple pictures? That's a way to get it. The best way would be by reaching out to those customers. Now, if we only have a handful, that becomes a little bit more complicated. But for $20, we can get somebody to take us a whole bunch of pictures somewhere like Fiverr. And we know that after we do that, if we have better product photos, that we have the potential to sell 20, 40, 60, 80 a month, depending on the design. So that $20 comes back to us really quickly.
Yeah. And look at that, Sue, in 20 plus carts. So we're not even looking at the tool right now, any data. We're looking at Etsy's data, and that's saying that it's in 20 plus people's carts. So obviously this type of product is in demand and people are buying it. And like you said, Chris, you're using Aaron, you're using Luke, like there's going to probably be other ones as you do this research. So like right there, Luke baptism outfit, white with blue trim, baby boy baptism outfit, baby boy christening. So like Chris said, this is under optimized, but it's still doing really well because there's demand for it.
And I'm just morbidly curious.
So do you have any questions on that?
No questions on that. No.
Okay.
I was thinking, I'm like, I got some schoolmates that I'm friends with on Facebook. Maybe they have grandchildren.
That's true. That is true. Very, very good. Okay, cool. So I think at this point, to me, it's pretty obvious that we need to take with what we currently have and do the research to see if there's any products that could match up with demand. And then, so that's going to be the research. So you're going to be spending some time doing the research. The second part of this is then, again, using research to make your decisions and to follow what is already selling and then reverse engineer that. Now, this doesn't just work for the handmade stuff, although that's where you're at right now. You would do the same thing for like that onesie that we found that was humor that's selling 100 plus per month. You might want to do that to add more products to your inventory now because that one there has demand. So I would go after 3 to 5 products is where I would want to see you in the next probably 60 days to where those products are ones that have good demand. And then that's going to bring people into the shop.
I'm trying some first time mommy or daddy mugs. I'm going to try. And I have a couple ideas on t-shirts. The one that I just posted, and I haven't even had a chance to really look at it after I posted it, is stuffed animals with t-shirts on them. And it says, I belong to, and then they're going to customize with the name. Okay.
I like that. The mugs and the t-shirts, I don't love as much because everyone else is doing it. So I'm trying to figure out like, or maybe you're going to do something similar to this. Maybe it's a throw pillow that goes in a nursery for when someone is going to have a baby in a nursery, right? Like you're going to, or maybe it's the date that is saved of the christening, or the baptism, like things like that. Keepsakes, I think, are good. The t-shirts, the mugs, everyone's doing it. That would be a secondary thing. I wouldn't focus
Okay.
on mugs. Mugs, there's not a lot of profit in mugs because once you get a mug that does well, guess what? Everyone else is going to do it, and it's going to drive your price down because now you're just competing on price.
Okay.
Your handmade is your leverage. That is a big one for you because not everyone's going to be able to do that. Secondly, if you have products that are in demand that you can create nice designs that other people, it's not as easy, but you can personalize. You always want to personalize your items because you're in the handmade. I would always want my items to be personalized, or at least the option to personalize them.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Scott, would you recommend staying, at least at this point, based on what we've seen? And it's not to say that we have to stay here forever, staying in the baptism, christening, blessing space and expanding from there, because that will help drive the same traffic that would also be interested in the handmade products? Or at this point, are you cool just opening it up to like newborn as the niche, generally speaking?
Yeah, personally, right now, I'd like to see Sue focus on the baptism, the christening, that stuff, and build that out. Like, that's it. Like, tunnel vision, blinders on, right? And we're just focusing on that, right? And then that's it. And you can always then expand outside of that. But if the minute we start adding on this one, and then we go to here and we go there, we already saw there's enough demand right here, right now for what you want to achieve. Like right now. So let's go there, and let's not try to go out too wide. I say stay narrow for at least 90 days. At least 90 days.
Okay.
So I think that's enough. I think that's where we need to kind of rest here, and then you kind of take a breath, right? Because there's a lot there that we just talked about. I think as far as your shop goes, I don't think there's much that we need to focus on, because I think if we don't have the right products to go in the shop, it's not going to really matter within the shop, right? So yes, can you create better mock-ups? Yeah, of course. We all can improve our mock-ups. Can we update our listings? Yeah, we can do that too. But if we're doing that and taking the time to do that on a product that doesn't get a lot of demand, we should be focusing on finding products that have demand and then creating those products and optimizing those products. So that's what I would say for this. As far as your stuff.
Don't have demand because of their photos and titles and tags? No. Okay.
Tags possibly, right? Images, no. Okay. Images have nothing to do with you being discovered. Your tags could. Okay. But the first thing you have to ask yourself is the product itself. Is there a way in to the market? Okay. And so we used baptism as one, right? That's one way that people are getting in that could buy that product. Now, if everything is optimized for baptism, then you're good to go. The image is going to be more important when you get eyeballs. And then when you get eyeballs, people are going to click because of the image. Okay. The image gets people to click in. Once they get in, then it's a matter of optimizing. The tags do the heavy lifting in a sense, and the title of getting your listing optimized in search. With that being said, just because you've optimized everything, there's other people that are optimizing too. So what is going to make yours stand out? It's going to come down to sales. And if you don't have, would you
say I should pull a lot of that product out right now and work?
No, I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't even spend the time to go in there and say archive. I really wouldn't, because I think your products are gonna sell, right? I think if you have your store and we put it like over here and it's only getting 100 people that pass by your store, but I take your store and I put it over where there's 1,000 people passing by every day, there's a better chance of you getting some foot traffic in your store. It's the same difference here.
Yeah, I sent the year-to-date information to you, and I mean, I've got a lot of views. I'm just not.
What's a lot of views?
I was going to say, I mean, you're looking at somebody, if she's lucky, she gets 10 views a day.
Okay. Again, that's not a lot of views.
That's not a lot of views.
No. So we need to get more than 10 people. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah. Is the conversation there is, what is the issue? And what we just solved, Sue, is there demand for these products that will help you get to your goal, which I believe was 21,000, right? We could do that with a single product in this niche. Yep. So the question is, are we on the right road for that traffic to come into us? And Scott, that's why I pulled this up. Because if we look at this, right, white crochet baby 3-piece set, none of those things describe the way that someone would search for this. Right. Yes, those are all important things for the customer to know. They should know that it's white, that it's crocheted. But what they are looking for, based on what we just saw when we looked at the demand, is a baptism or christening outfit. So that should be what we're leading with. Our tags should then support that, right? And we do see a little bit of that in here, right? Christening gift, baptism gift, but it's not really a baptism gift unless somebody's buying it to give, right? So if we focus on that baptism christening outfit and we rework these tags, then we take ourselves out of the back alley and put ourselves in front of that highway of traffic. Then we have the other side of this equation, which is the conversion rate, right? Now that we're getting those eyeballs that we know exist, then we have the conversion rate battle. And that's where things like making sure this title is superhuman readable, unlike that other one where my eyes glazed over, right? Making sure that our images are on point and making sure that our descriptions actually tell people, which yours do a much better job of, although I think we could break this up, maybe add in some sections or some bullets, than your competition, right? That's when those three things really come in. And so we have to focus on getting the traffic first, which is why we go look at the niche. Is there enough traffic and enough sales happening in this niche to support your income goal? Scott, just based on what we saw, yes or no? 21,000, is that doable in just the baptism and christening portion?
100%. And people are having babies every day.
That's a cutoff till Social Security starts taking your Social Security away from you.
Right. Yeah. And you had said that. Yeah. So, but again, that's your target, and I don't think that that's hard to get there. And so I think with everything that we shared and that we dove into, it does come down to a traffic issue and a product issue. And these aren't issues that aren't fixable. We just kind of went through like what we would do in order to fix the problem. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take some time.
I know that.
Take some work. Yeah. So, but I think you're going to be way further ahead in the next 12 months than you did even the last 9 or 10 years, because we have a strategy and now we're just executing and we're focusing on that main sub niche really in the baby niche, So
yeah, my sales are being eaten up by fees. Yeah.
Well, we need to fix that because we need to get, number one, your profit needs to come up. We need to probably raise the price, but yet also we need to get more traffic. So that way you're not looking at like, oh, I had 10 people there and I need one person to buy. Like we want to get 100 people there and convert 1 or 2. And that's great. Right.
Now,
but if you're,
everything in the shop right now is 25% off. So the regular selling price for that is more like 47, 49. And you think that's too low?
I do for a handmade item for sure.
Okay.
100%.
Because
if we look at that Ann Everett, she's 49 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, there may be some sales that happen in there that we're not seeing just because she's not running one as we're looking at this. But if they're able to sell something that is not nearly as handmade as what you are doing for $50 or more, there is some room for us to move there in price. And price is almost never the actual objection from the customer, because price is only objection in the absence of value justification. So they just need to know why it costs them $50. And if we can clear that up by giving them good photos.
I don't take into consideration the time that it takes me to do these things, because it's a love that I like, a thing that I like to do.
Right.
And I think that's because I think I would price myself right out of sales, because you never get back what you put into these things.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing, right? You have to price what it's worth and what it's worth for you to do it. And I think you can get there, and I think people will spend the money. I mean, $48, $50 for a baptism, christening, outfit. I could see people spending close to $100, honestly. Like, so I think you have room to grow there, but right now we want to get sales velocity. So you might be, not getting as much profit right now, and that's okay. We just need that room. We need that room to grow, but we need to bring in more viewers, more views, more traffic. And then you can start to see like, okay, now we can kind of start testing and playing with those things. So
yeah, you had said before that once you get the traffic, you can edge the price up a little bit at a time.
100%. Yeah. And so that's the goal. So anyway, Sue, that is going to be your action plan. All right. We went through a lot, I know, but it's one step at a time. Does this feel like something that you can tackle?
Yes.
All right. So are you going to commit to us right here? All right.
Yes, I will commit. I think I'm not a good marketing person.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
As well as not a good photographer.
We're learning and we're growing. Okay. And let me tell you something. I've been doing online stuff for over 15 years, been self-employed for 21 years. I'm still learning, right? It's like I'm learning, and you got to be willing to learn. And I really appreciate you coming on here and wanting the help, but then also sharing it so other people can be helped as well. So we appreciate you coming on and doing this. And we're going to want a full report though in like 90 days. All right. So have your word on that.
I have my word.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.